All right, what's happening, friends? Welcome back for another episode of Waynecast. I'm Rob Johnson. So joining me in the studio today is the one and only Victor Bals.
Good afternoon, guys. How are you?
And Chris Williams.
Hello.
Co-pilot, as always.
Good to be here today.
Yeah, man, I'm excited. So our first kind of interaction was through the Chamber. We did the Chamber podcast. And I'll never forget, because they sent me over a docket of who's coming in, and this is a mortgage company. And I had a mortgage company that I was talking with before, and mortgage companies have always been interesting because you never kind of know who you're going to get. And when I met you and Danielle, I was like, oh, these guys are different. Because you guys have this sort of way about you, specifically, when we're talking about you have an intensity that shows through what you do. And it's something that I think is kind of rooted in your passion for people. And it might not even necessarily be as strong in the mortgage industry, but it's definitely with people. So I guess at the top of this, Vic, give me just a rundown to what kind of makes you tick on a daily basis and why you do what you do.
That's a big question.
It is a big question. What is the meaning of life?
Yeah. I don't know, intensity, but I think you're just, I don't think it's taught. I think you're born with some sense of intensity and just desire to succeed and desire. When I first started, I was always self-serving. It was all about me. But as you tend to get older and you grow gray hairs, you tend to find out it's not about you. You do everything you do for everybody else around you.
Right.
And so that intensity just never went. But as I quit the big three, working for the man, and I decided to work on my own, that intensity just got a little bit more because you want to do things better than anybody. And what you find out is now you're working for two families. I have a family at home, a wife and 3 kids, but I can't give them the quality of life or the vehicle to get the things they want in life without my at-work family, and it's kind of, it goes, they interact, because if I don't take care of my work family, my at-home family is going to suffer, and if I don't take care of my at-home family, my work family is going to suffer. I'm the guy that has to go out there and get the business, but I've actually come to really respect the team that helps me, because I'm a loan officer for 20 years, but a loan officer is only as good as his team behind him.
Yeah, and that's something that I found with every entrepreneur that's going out and starting, is there's this moment where you realize, I've lost my safety net. There's no longer the security of a corporation or the big three that's under you. What's that internal conversation like in your head when you have a foot on each boat?
Well, that's why I drink, Rob. It really is one of the reasons why I drink, because when I was in the corporate world, and I had lived in Japan for a few years, I brought back a Japanese gal, and I was on my way to my next gig as a program manager into, I think it was Australia or China, and she says, "Can't you do anything else?" And that's when I called the old loan officer that gave us our loan, and I asked, "Hey, you still hiring?" He says, "Yeah." So I jumped from a salary, benefits, pension, when doing 100% commission, not knowing what I was getting into. And then the reality starts to set in. When you're not making sales and you're not closing deals, you're not eating. And my wife was on my back saying, "Hey, what are we going to do? This is very scary." So that internal conversation, I lost a lot of sleep over. But that was 20 years ago now.
Yeah. Well, how do you, so just for people that have never been in that spot where it's like, I need to perform or else, what do you do in that time? Because I know there's two things that people typically do. One is they'll do it right, and one is they'll do it wrong. And especially in your line of work, there are people that do it very wrong. So what was that conversation like to say, all right, I need to actually gear up and actually do this the proper way?
Well, as I got into it, because, I was in the automotive world, I was an engineer in the automotive world, and I went right into selling money, and my dad said, he goes, "Well, if you're going to sell anything, sell money, because that's what everybody wants and nobody has." And I thought, well, you got that right, that's kind of cool. But as I got into it right at the beginning, I didn't know where I was going, but what I did find is I had a knack for numbers. I had a knack for connecting with people, and I was interested in the industry. So it was a passion. And I don't care what anybody goes into, you better have a passion, because your passion is what gets you up in the morning. If you're going to go into a job you hate, you're not going to want to wake up. Yeah. But I get up, I'm up at 3:30 in the morning. I'm in the office by 6 a.m. in the morning because I love what I do. So, and if you just listen to your internal compass, it's going to take you where you want to go, for the passion.
Yeah. So, all right, 3:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
What time do you go to sleep usually?
I'm usually in bed by 9. I'm an old guy, man. I never want to go to bed early because I figured everybody's out there having fun, and I'm the old guy going to bed. But now that I am programmed to get up at 3:30, and I don't even use an alarm clock, I get up in the morning, and the first thing I do is go up and get a coffee, and then I hop on my treadmill and I do 10K, and I do 10K 4 or 5 times a week, and that gets my blood going. And during that treadmill walk, it's a very brisk walk, and that I do internalization, man. I do visualization, visualize the goals I want to have, self-affirmations, because we are our worst enemy. We have who we want to be, and then we have that monkey inside us telling us you're never going to get there, never going to get there. So you have those internal battles. So I do a lot of internalization, visualization, and gratitude. Be grateful for what you have. And I listen to audiobooks because now I can multitask. So I listen to audiobooks on success, processes, systems. And it gives me a good way to start the day because it's the only time of day I can control. I get to work by 6 a.m. I do all my prospecting, return my emails, get ready for the day, because at 9 a.m. I become reactive. I'm dependent on everybody else's problems, issues, or something we got to solve. So that's my secret to success, is get there early in the morning. Take control of your day. It's funny because in my early years in the mortgage industry, I would come home and my wife would say, "Oh, you had a really bad day today." "Yeah, we got deals blown up, something missed here, something did that." She goes, "Well, that's pretty easy." She goes, "You need to control your business. Don't let your business control you." And when I look back at that day and said, yeah, it was my customers, it was the people, it was the title companies, the realtors trying to control my day. But I said, look, I don't create this mess. I only report it. I'm trying to take a problem and solve it. So if I ever have a very stressful day, I just say, control your business. Don't let your business control you. And it gets me through the end of the day.
Yeah. So on that, when you're looking at being in the throes of a business, you have a team, you have a ton of clients that are reaching out, and you can't control, because you're in the real estate game, you can't control what buyers and sellers and realtors and everything is going to do. So what does that partitioning look like for a particular day if you want to gain control to where you're not feeling like you're at the whim of everybody else telling you what to do?
Because I don't let it 90% of the time. When a client comes in for a pre-approval, we need to do the homework first. There's 3 reasons why transactions, real estate transactions and mortgage transactions blow up: the borrower, the property, or the borrower, period. That's it. No other reason. Because I've been doing this 20 years, so we know how to get a loan done, and we understand the guidelines. It's going to be the borrowers not understanding the process, not supplying the documentation, not understanding some stuff. So I try to make it not mandatory, but I highly urge that a client meet face-to-face, and we get the education up front. Buying a home is pretty simple. A mortgage is pretty simple. It's getting the client educated on what they're coming into up front and building that connection to that person. It's not just me behind a desk either approving or denying a loan. No, it's me, them, and that realtor building a team, fighting the bureaucracy. Like I've always said, I'm the working man working for the working man. So setting those expectations up front and getting them in and getting the client to want to follow the process. When we say jump, you got to break out the trampoline. There's certain necessities, there's certain deliverables that have to be met. So I've become pretty good at taking control of at least that part of the business of getting them pre-approved. Once we actually get under contract on a home, all bets are off. Things happen. They come out of nowhere, but you just need to know how to deal with them.
Yeah. So Chris, when you first started here, because I know you and I have a very similar sleep schedule and pattern, and for me,
what time do you guys get up?
So I go to bed anywhere between 12 and 2.
Okay.
And I get up between 6:15 and 7.
Okay. Yeah, it's mine. It depends on if it's the weekend.
Yeah, let's leave weekends out because
Right. Yeah.
I'm up at 4 o'clock on the weekends.
So
That's
he
what old
sleeps.
guys
So he
do.
sleeps in.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I feel like a loser
Wow,
because I
slacker.
slept in. I feel like I'm missing something in life.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, weekdays. Yeah, I'm usually because I have. Well, I think I have a little bit longer drive than you. But
Oh, yeah,
really
for
it's
sure.
Just yeah, I'm usually in bed at least by midnight, and then up at 6:30.
Yeah.
So.
I don't know, man. 6:30. I'm on my second lunch. Yeah. By that
I know. I said that to you one time because I was like, I said I got up at 6:15, and you're like, yeah, that's right before my second lunch, and I'm like, damn.
Yeah. But I tell you what, I just love it, man. I love it. It's the me time, and that's when I do my best thinking about business planning. Where do we take it to the next level? With my team.
It's certainly true because I know when I get in here, if I ever get in here an hour or so before everyone else, it's super quiet. There's no emails, there's no calls. So it's very reflective in that you don't have to be, slave to the inbox or to the call or we have this fire going on. And it is really the best time to do development. And because I have, 2 small kids, sometimes those mornings are occupied by that. So for me, when I started, the evenings kind of when everyone's in bed between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m., that's traditionally been the best time to hammer things out.
That's your treadmill time.
Yeah, exactly.
In a sense, but being a business owner, operator, it's all about systems and processes, and get into the end zone because we're all in business here together. You have your animal of a business, I have mine, but it's still about take care of the customer, always have customer. How are we bringing new customers on? How are we going to retain those customers? How do we keep up with technology? Those are all the questions that pose us every night when we go to bed.
Yeah, and on the side of retention for you because you have, I would say, more of a project-based business in that you have a transaction that lasts, and typically a traditional homeowner isn't going to turn that over every year, right? Unless they're in the big buying and selling game.
Actually, the average is they turn them over about every 6.3 years. It used to be over 8 years, 9 years, but now people are turning the homes over because of relocations, buying, selling, taking the money and running, moving up, moving down, divorces. Sure. So that turnover every 5 to 7 years they're moving.
Yeah. So on that, so when you're in the industry for 20 years and you have a 6-year turnaround, you'll probably have a very healthy cycle of retention.
If you keep in contact with your past customers, To me, the closing is the beginning of the relationship, like you and I were talking about. Right. And as my wife always said, take care of customer, always have customer. Keep in touch with them. Keep them updated on market conditions. On their loan anniversary, do a mortgage review with the people. Keep them updated on where interest rates are going, And the one thing I never do is I never ask for business. Yeah. You earn the business, sure. And if you're just there, when they think of mortgages, they're going to think of you as not a salesman, but as a friend and an advocate and an advisor.
Well, it has to be passive, right? You can't, and this is something I try and stress to anyone in our company that's doing sales, is you can't go at somebody and say, I need to do this marketing with you, or I need to do this website with you. It has to be passive. It has to be relationship driven, or it's not going to last. It's not going to matter. And that's a huge thing. So with you, even more so, because you, I would say, are in an industry where it is much easier to lose track of the client because you don't see them.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. But if you just connect with people, you become friends. We give a closing gift at the closing. We give a nice leather binder that's filled with the title work appraisal, just all the pertinent information. And we say, because people usually put their mortgage papers up in the closet next to a shoebox, right? And they forget where they're at. But we call it the Blue Bible. It's a nice blue thing. You'll never miss it. And I have customers 15 years coming to their new closing with the old Blue Bible. And I go, oh, hey, no, you guys, you get one of those on every purchase, and but they just remember you. And what we also do now is, we send loan anniversary cards, and we'll send a thank you card. Hey, it's your loan anniversary, or it's your birthday, and we send a little scratch-off lottery ticket, for $1, just to say, hey, we're lucky to know you. We hope your luck is just as good. And it's just a little token of our appreciation,
Yeah, those touches are super important. And I know, like for me, Chris is largely on projects. So when you're working with website people, it's it's a project that's there and gone, but there's something to be said for a reach out 2-3 months. How are things going? Even though you're not paying us anymore.
Right.
You know, touching base. How are things going? Just because we really want it to be successful.
Right. Well, actually, when you start to meet your clients and you dig in, and you get to know them on a different level, it's not just a mortgage, you know. It's what do you do for a living? Where'd you come from? Do you have kids? What's your hobbies? What do you do? What's the biggest challenge you ever had to overcome in your life? And your customers start to spill their guts and start telling you these things you never thought coming. And all of a sudden you find out that, oh my God, I had a similar experience, and now you connect on a different level. So you become not just business associates, but somewhat friends that we can lean on each other. And that's how relationships are formed, you know. And it's just, I don't know. I don't think it's taught. I think it's just natural, you know, to connect with people like that way.
Yeah. So the entrepreneur space is something that is evolving with social media and the advent of at-home businesses and whatnot. Pretty much anybody can be an out-of-the-box CEO,
Right.
we'll call it, right? But the people that are actually going out there and they're taking a risk, they're making a financial investment into something. What do you think is one of the biggest problems that people are encountering when it comes to starting off on their own?
Expense, because everybody is trying to start a business on a dime, okay? They're tending to try to do their own social media because they got a Facebook account, an Instagram account, and they might have a website like I did, you know, years ago. We're trying to do it on a dime. But as we started to grow, we found that, you know, write the check. Go to professionals, someone like yourself that can handle all that social media. That technology is changing so much, you have to have a professional do that. And that's why I utilize you guys. You guys stay in that lane. Let me stay in the lane of changing people's lives through the mortgage, and let you guys get my message out. So that's where I think the number one thing when someone's going into business, don't be afraid to use the professionals and their services, because if I did it, I would make so many mistakes over the years and years, where there's people right here locally that can take all those mistakes away and let you focus on your core, on your passion.
Well, that's something that's really important that I glanced over when I first started, because someone, I forget who it was, but they told me, you know, the tighter you are with money in your business, the less money you're going to make. And I didn't understand that. I was like, well, that seems dumb. Like, why can't I be frugal and successful? And I get what they were saying, which was, if you're afraid to spend money on things that matter, it's going to impact the quality in which you deliver your services.
Right. Well, let's put it this way. If that person is sitting there trying to do a Facebook post or create an ad or in a video, and the hours that takes, how many prospecting calls could they do? Where's the leverage for the money? That 3 hours I could sit there editing a video. Of course, I love to do it because it's a passion of mine. But I could be on the phone with real estate agents, with customers, solving problems and building the business. That's what I need to do. I need to be in my lane.
Yeah, and that's a big part of it, is when you're looking at ROIs and investing and doing things from a how can I optimize the people that are around me point of view. Like for me to sit there and even do something like, update sales notes and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I could be going and getting more sales. So why wouldn't I have somebody ad lib that documentation for me?
Absolutely. You know, and another key component is, sure, you've got your social marketing or social media, all your marketing stuff, but then you have your database of people. And so many business owners, real estate agents, mortgage people, don't have a CRM type database to move that data. Many people will do this just on an Excel sheet, okay? But an Excel sheet is static. It only works if you work it. And you work the data. But the CRM technology, as you put the data in, it works off of workflows and logic based off of certain rules you set up, and you put it on autopilot. So my second suggestion would be, no matter what you do, you invest in a CRM system, and you invest in a social media company that can keep up or even outgrow the competition out there, because that's a very tight space, that social media, very difficult space.
Well, it's always changing, and that kind of parlays into the next topic I want to get into, which is how do we adjust for change and what makes somebody successful. So one thing that's always mind-boggling to me, just being here in Brighton, is the amount of mortgage officers that there are in the area. Like, you can swing a dead cat just from our building and hit at least 4 or 5 of them.
Absolutely.
And I guess, is that because the need is so high that people are getting into it, or is it where they have this and something else and insurance and they're kind of stacking it
No,
on?
I think it's people just riding a wave. COVID hit in 2020, right? And interest rates got really low. So all of a sudden we started seeing these mortgage shops just open up. And to me, and I'm not here to bash a mortgage guy, man, because I respect anybody standing. But I see so many of these new mortgage shops open up, and it's like it's a one and done. They're here just to get the mortgage, but they won't be here forever. They're going to shut down and they'll be gone. They're one and done, and they're not going to take care of the customer, build that database, and some of them will, but a lot of them won't. I seen this happen in 2008 when you could see tumbleweed running down Main Street. All those buildings were vacant.
Yeah.
And in 2011, when things started getting better, boom, here's a mortgage outfit, and they popped up. So some of them are riding a wave, and that's why we bought the building where we're at, because I've been here 20 years, and I will be here another 20. My kids are coming into the business. We're going to ride this out and have those systems in place, man. Don't leave an estate, leave a legacy for your family. For any of you business owners who are thinking the long game, think of the legacy,
Yeah, so that's interesting too. Now that I'm thinking about that, so if you started in 2000, so obviously the economic collapse in 2008 was something you're probably very familiar with. So what was that like for you? Because I've asked realtors this, and I get kind of the answer of, are they good back there?
Yeah. No, they're good.
Okay, I didn't know if he was making hand signals back there after fire Grant.
You just gave me a thumbs up because I'm getting all these words in.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I'm so engaged.
We got a player.
Yeah.
We got a player here, man.
Yeah. All right. I didn't know if he's making moose ears on me or something on
No.
the camera. So when we look at 2008, I've asked people that before, and I kind of get the canned answer, right? It was tough, but we made it through. But what was it actually like on the ground going through that?
It was pretty tough. It was actually really tough. But what we had to do is shift our business because, at that point, even in the worst part of that real estate meltdown, you got any idea where the foreclosure rate went percentage-wise in this country? Take a guess.
22.
4%. That's what drove a nail across the world.
So
what
did it start at?
In an average market, you've got about a 2% foreclosure rate.
Okay.
So when America hit 4%, it drove a nail into the coffin across the world.
I guess 22 does seem kind of high.
Yeah.
It's like 1 out of 5 people.
I was going to
but it sure seemed like that. But you think, well, 4% ain't that bad. But it just tells you how sensitive our economy is. That just a couple point rise in a foreclosure rate can just put ripples through the entire economy. Yeah. But then again, we lost a lot of values back then. We were losing 20, 30, 40% on the value of your home. Your 401ks lost 40%. And that actually goes back to the Clinton era when they wanted to make home ownership, home affordability to the masses. So that's what drove that as they started to drive these programs. Stated income. Nina, no income, no assets. Stated income. Oh, you cut grass for a living, you make $400,000 a year? Sure. Here's a mortgage, right? And that's what they did. And all we were as salesmen for mortgage guys is we consider us like vacuum cleaner salesmen. And corporate comes up with a new product, you go sell these kind of vacuums, right? They had option arms where you could pay 1% or less than the minimum payment. And so what had happened, when all those mortgages come together, they sell these mortgages on the secondary market as mortgage-backed securities. It's kind of like a stock. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, they sell these on the open market as mortgage-backed securities. And mortgage-backed securities are what is in your 401ks. If you look at your portfolios in your 401ks, a high percentage of that is into real estate earnings, okay? And so what had happened is they'd taken the A paper mortgages, your conventional loans, and your B paper loans, and what they did is they mixed them in with these option arms and all this subprime type lending things, okay? Because the algorithms they were using at that time, they were suggesting a 6% appreciation. So they were able to mix all these subprime loans into these A-paper loans, sell them as mortgage-backed securities, blend them all into your 401ks because you guys expect, or everybody expects, a nice real estate return is a nice, solid investment, okay? Little did they know that the job growth had started to go down a little bit. People stopped making their payments, and now these loans weren't performing, right? And these were all rated AAA mortgages because they met this algorithm. So as the ball started to tumble, the 401k started to crumble, and the value started to come on down, and that's when the whole mess started. And it was all because they wanted to enhance home ownership and have creative product.
Bill Clinton strikes again.
Well, not that there's anything wrong with Bill, but but that's how it started. And every administration has something to do with something in the housing industry,
Well, it kind of goes to that economic principle of like, there's almost a factor of chaos theory in everything that you do when you look at, I'm going to make this really small financial adjustment. Mm-hmm. It seems small, but the long-term benefits are yet unknown, or the long-term impacts, whatever it might be, is unknown. And anytime you make an economic correction, it's very difficult to forecast what other markets it's going to touch.
Oh, well, absolutely. Like in my business, there's the refinance portion and there's the purchase portion. A lot of lenders who hopped on the gravy train in 2020 to take all these refinances, that's all gravy. But now that rates are rising and those dry up, now they're going to be forced out of a job because they don't know how to handle the purchase market. They don't have relationships with real estate agents or other referral partners. So you got to have a good balance in any business you're in to look at what would the market, if the market goes down, what am I going to do? If the market goes up, what am I going to do? And how am I going to expand?
Yeah. Yeah. So moving back to the topic of change. So Chris, I want to kind of get your opinion, because we've been pretty volatile the last 2 years. We changed, like we just rolled out another huge change in the direction of our company yesterday, where we're going to be moving away from kind of like Vic, we do content and whatnot, and we run socials, but the biggest thing that we're going to transition away from is only doing content for companies, meaning we're not going to do just social media content. We need to do that and something else, that and a podcast, that and advertising. Because what we're finding is companies that just want us to run their social media and they don't do videos, they do podcasts, the ROI is not as high as it would be if they did other things, because then it's all stock. Mm-hmm. There's no character. So Chris, go ahead, sorry.
But you can also cross-sell from that podcast to that social media. You can take pieces of that to build other stuff.
Exactly. Right. And that's what we want.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's not valuable content. It's just
right. It's kind of like when we had, we've had a piece where we had a roofing website come in, mm-hmm. and like we got no information on it. They're like, please completely make it stock. And then what's that going to do for you if you don't have any personality to it? But my question was going to be, how have you handled kind of this change, and how do you look at things when change occurs? Kind of what goes through your head?
Really, for what we have, like in that instance, we go from making a just stock website. The owner operator he just wants an online presence, doesn't care. He doesn't have anything. He doesn't want to supply anything. He just wants his name on the internet. And then he expects to be on the top page of Google, when somebody searches for him.
Well, I got to disagree with you in one respect, because trust me, like you guys have built out my website. I want to be right there with every piece of content. We just don't have the time because I'm going in my lane. So we want to turn it over to a company like yourself and say, just take me to the promised land. But, there's got to be that interaction between us so I can somewhat support content.
Absolutely.
Because you're just trying to do what the customer pleases. But we as business owners have to be there. As much as we don't want to be there, we want to be involved. Yeah.
Websites was the main thing you were talking about. And on that you were saying, Vic, that when you have a business owner in your seat and you're hiring a web company, mm-hmm. there has to be some level that you're giving the development team so they can personalize that for you.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's not a me and you, it's us, it's we, because you guys are not mind readers. Yeah. You may know my business, but you don't know the intricate details of my business and what markets I'm trying to go. What's my demographics? What are the hooks that gains people's interest? That's the content that I owe you, and then you guys put your spin on it to make it more professionally worded. Because I'm not, I'm not an English major for sure. But that's why it's a cohesive.
Yeah, it's cohesive. Yeah, it's a collaborative project.
Collaborative.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what's been your biggest frustration, Chris, on that? Obviously, like working with you guys, it's super simple because you guys have.
Well, I don't know about that, but
well, I'll tell you this. Like, and I have no problem saying this on the air, but like when we have projects that are frustrating and we talk about it.
Yep.
Having people that not even overgive us information, but give us a ton of things to sort through is way better than having nothing.
So much better.
Absolutely. But I feel guilty sometimes, Chris, because I see, you're in there busting your ass on what your vision is. We've had a collaborative meeting about saying where I want to go, but it takes a village. I know what it takes, and especially when I walk in here and say, hey, man, I want to change. And I can see you saying, yes, sir, and all that. But you're thinking, I know what you're thinking. Are you freaking kidding me? No. But I appreciate the effort that you got to do to get that, because I've been there before, and that's where it really comes down to clarity at our discovery meetings at the beginning, and I think Monica scheduled one here for next week or something where we're going to meet again.
Yep.
Yeah.
But we've got phase one. The websites are live. I'm very pleased with the content, the architecture, the navigation of the website. And now we're going to go in the meeting too. Now that we've got that behind us, now how do we tune this in and put some bells and whistles and little sprinkles on the ice cream to give it our personality?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's kind of like the best. I would much rather have you, like, not even, like, I don't think you guys are overwhelming at all, but like you guys being there side by side as this project is going even into the future. Like the Assist site is launched, and then now we're working on your guys' sites, and those are going to be launched soon. But having you guys side by side saying like, yes, I like this, and let's keep going like this, or let's change this, let's change that. Like websites are living documents, and I'd much rather have you guys there by my side giving me that ammo that I need to flourish than a client that's just like, get me a website, get me to the top page of Google. Here's my money. See you later.
And that's why those regular meetings are important, because, we can come up with, and I think we actually put a roadmap up on the board there, say, hey, we want this, but you're the one that's got to actually, you are Lewis and Clark. You got to go out there and you got to build that map there to say, okay, with today's current technology and some of the plugins and stuff that they have, we can do what you want, Vic, this way, but it may be better this way. And then as we go back and forth, now I see the light, because I'm an old guy and I start to see these newer, bold innovations that I said, wow, now I see the light. And that's why I need you guys, because I'm in my old lane. I got to go. I got to turn this over to the younger, bolder, more technological savvy people, because this is what you do.
Right. No, absolutely. That's my passion. When you come to me and you say, I want this magic, I want this, then I have to be like, okay.
By 5 p.m.
right. Yeah. So it's, how do I, like, that's what gets me out of bed every morning.
Yeah.
When you say like, I want this to happen, I want my website to do this.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to do that right off the top of my head. I have to learn how to write that spell. So I'm like, okay, how do I do this? And I'm like, that's what I'm thinking about at my, 6 a.m.s. Like, Vic wants his website to turn inside out.
But the cool thing is I want you to understand this about me is, I want to give you the freedom for flexibility.
Sure.
I want to give you empowerment.
Right.
So you're just not following, oh, this is what Vic wants.
Right.
This is where I want to get. You take me there with your creative genius and take me there and show me a different path and make me a believer in what you've done every step of the way. I go, wow, I never would have thought of that. And that is really cool to be able to have a collaborative thing where I could have my people there. Right. And then if we see something, we'll put the brakes on it and say, okay, that's cool. Let's go this direction. But then you open up a whole other world there and say, okay. And that, and I remember I was, I want everything done like this before we go live. I want it absolutely perfect. But with discussions with you guys, I said, no, man, let's just go live with what we got here, and let's look at the functionality. Let's navigate. Vic, you use the websites. Let's get some feedback, and let's make it's a living document, like you said.
Yeah, you're doing essentially like the thing that bothers me the most about people that want a website is when they say, this is what I want. And then that's the end of the discussion, as if their business is suddenly going to stop.
Right. Go to GoDaddy Website Builder.
Well, right. That's what I'm saying. Go on Fiverr, get yourself a $200 website, because it's going to perform just as well as the $2,000 one I'm going to build you if you don't have any play in it. Because what makes people respond to a website isn't the fancy coding. Like, the design is super important. What makes people design to the website is the personality that's within it.
Absolutely.
And like, even on your site, like, it's super important to you guys to have helpful resources.
Helpful resources.
That is something that attracts people. It's not just, hey, we can get your loan done. Here's 2 or 3 realtors we recommend, and that's it. It's a resource hub, and that's what makes people go to
consumers for consumers and real estate professionals alike. That's how we position that. But you got to think, when I first got in, and I did my own website because I was cheap, and I'm doing it on a dime. But when any business starts a website, they need to understand people aren't going to find you, right? You are going to have to direct potential prospects to that website for your resources. Right. And you need an entity that knows how to build what I call the Google juice and all that stuff with the blogs and the meta tags and that to complement our message to start building that organic audience.
Yeah, it's that value that you provide to your customers. And I think what you were talking about at the beginning was like the customer attention. And you said it a while ago, and it was probably about right when we started this building, when you were saying, like, I want to give our customers value, just free content, just like I'm going to give them free stuff. And then, like what you were saying, Vic, when they need you, they're going to think, okay, this guy is giving me a ton of content. Yep. Like now it's time for me to return the favor.
Yeah. And it's this concept. Are you familiar with,
you got to give to get, man.
Right. Exactly. Are you familiar with Gary Vaynerchuk?
No, I am not.
So he's an entrepreneur. He runs a company called Vaynermedia out in New York. Uh-huh. He's a big media mogul. And he wrote this book called Jab, 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 Right Hook. And the whole concept of the book was, how do you get people to buy into an idea that you have? And the idea is free content. And this is something that you and Danielle understand inherently well. And it's, if you give people a ton of free content, if you help them when they need it, when you ask then for something or when they need something, who are they going to come to? Right. And it's a really simple concept, but 95% of the people that do business don't understand it remotely well at all.
Well, that's funny because in my business, I call that the open door theory, okay? Because if you're going up to a store and little old ladies there or anybody, and you open the door for them, and every time you see them come in the store every day, you open the door for them, just out of natural, at some point, they're going to feel guilty and say, if they see you coming in, they're going to open the door for you. And that, and that's what happens, so... Yeah, but you got to give to get. Now, I don't even care if I get business from it. I just want to educate the consumers, right? Because I'll tell you what, in this day and age, 20 years ago, people didn't care about mortgages. Give me a mortgage. Where do I sign? Take me to the promised land. But with technology at your fingertips now, everybody thinks they're an expert out there, including real estate professionals and consumers. So our site now, I think it's timely to start educating them, give them video tutorials of what we got to do to get you to your goals. Because it's not about the closing. It's far after the closing. It's a quality of life. And that's what you guys are going to build for. That's the vision for our websites here.
Yeah. And I am constantly thinking about this concept of how do we provide value to people so they understand that we are on their team. And that's one of the reasons.
Because there's nothing for free, Rob, and everybody puts up that defensive wall.
Right.
Why can't we go back to old school, man? I open the door for you, you open the door for me. And how do we come off as honestly and upfront with empathy and just say, wow, these guys are genuine, they're real, they actually want to give free content, whether you do business with me or not.
Right.
I sleep better because I help somebody.
Right.
Period.
Yeah, and that was when we started the Chamber podcast. Like that was the question we got most from the businesses. We're like, "Oh, what's the hook?"
Yeah.
Like, no, you just come on the show and promote your business. Like, well, how much is it? And it's like, it's free.
Yeah. No way. There's got to be a hook.
Yeah, it's like, well, no, it's like it's beneficial for everybody. Like, it's beneficial for the chamber. They have content. It's beneficial for.
Just look at the benefits you get out of that. You produce a broadcast, but now it trains your engineers. You get to play around with it, and it just enhances your ability.
Yeah, it's kind of like the heart of Speakeasy, like what you're talking about. Like it builds that network of people that. Hey, I know a guy that does mortgages. Oh, you're looking for a house? Yeah. Well, like, hey, we know a realtor. Hey,
and it's funny because I know a bunch of realtors. When we started doing this podcast, I would spread the word, and then boom, it's a reciprocation by not even asking for business. It's just because it's what we do. We give to get.
Right.
Yeah.
And now you've got podcasts and with a lot of our friends,
And I'm curious about your opinion on this, Vic, 'cause I've talked about this a little bit on a show I was recently invited on. And what I told them was, I believe that social media has really done everyone a favor in that it's obviously there's dark sides to everything, right? But social media is a tool, and that's all it is. It's a tool. It's like a brick. You can break a window, build a hospital. It's kind of up to you what you do with it. But on the social media side, when you look at what people are doing on that platform, it's driven people into a sense of more of a community, or it's more niche. And out of that is going to be, I'll call it kind of a resurgence of the 50s, where it's very community based, where people are only going to be interested in the things that they care about. And social media is going to offer them the ability to curate that. And that includes small businesses too.
And it's a hell of a lot cheaper. It's social media can be free, or you can go pay a television, $2,000 for a 30-second ad or a radio station, but $2,000 on some clicks for Facebook or some Google ads managed by a company, someone like you guys, can go a long way for your demographics locally. Because most of us, I'm in the local business. I only do loans in Michigan, not in any other state. But my bread and butter, my thing is right here in Livingston County.
Right.
And I believe that's for this speakeasy is for Livingston County. Right.
Well, I think if people are honest, and this is something that I think this is the reason why I don't have a lot of friends in agencies, is because we see.
I don't have any friends, by the way.
Yeah. We'll be your friends, Vic. Yeah, we'll be friends. But one of the reasons for that is I've kind of staked my ground in this backyard, and when you do that, and you say that I'm only going to work in this area, it makes you have to value your reputation. When you're a national media company and you suck in Montana, you can go into Idaho and be good for 3 months and then suck and then switch to states.
Right.
You have to manage your reputation. If you're a national mortgage company, your reputation does not matter as much as the message that you're putting out in advertising.
Not at all. I've been doing this 20 years, and you're only as good as your last closing, right? I've got a pretty good reputation around here, and if you don't get a solid pre-approval and a deal blows up, it's like, oh my God, he blew that up. You got to be very careful in your own community of which you do business that you don't mess nothing up, and that's why you have to be spot on. And that's why I'm glad I use you guys, because you guys are passing that message, and it's just community. You got to be into local.
Yeah.
I don't want to hide behind a national cover, or a national business. I don't think it's right.
And it's a double-edged sword too, because like I talked, the Livingston paper was in here and we were talking about this, and I was like, I support small businesses if they are good. Like if you're, you don't just get my business just because you're local. I hate that whole small shop local movement, because then it's like, so I have to turn a blind eye to bad business practices, or what do you want me to do? Right. If Amazon and the local business are the exact same lack of personality,
right,
and Amazon's cheaper, I'm going to Amazon.
Oh, I am all that too, especially with the small restaurants here local. I mean, I don't think I made it a chain here in 15 years, but still, if it's a local restaurant and the service sucked and the food sucked, I'm not tipping that well. I'll still treat them like that. But I do support local. We spend our money locally here.
It's super important, and with that needs to come the message of there needs to be personality. And that's what I was telling them, was if you don't have a business with personality, in 5 years you will not be around, because social media and reviews and awareness will be so good that people will be able to judge your business before they even meet you.
And that's kind of scary, actually, because back in the day, 20 years ago, we didn't have social reviews and all the Google reviews and Yelp and all that. But now, and I'm guilty. When I go shopping or I go look at a restaurant, I'm looking, well, they're only 3.2 stars. I don't know, but I bet they got cold beer. That's probably not a problem there. But I actually do pay attention to that. Or I want to go to that product on Amazon. It's only 3 stars or something. Yeah. I get a little concerned, and so we're very aware of our service and our reviews, so, and can you control that in the social media world of how people get reviews?
Yeah, people are trying. So there's companies like Bird's Eye that are trying to, basically it's almost like when you go to a website, and mortgage companies are a good example of this, like see your rate, right? You put in all your information and then you have to enter in your email, right? So they're doing the same thing with reviews, where if you want to leave a review for Wayne Media, I can set a threshold. And if I send it to you, it'd be like, anything above 4 stars will post to the platform.
Right, but isn't that kind of false?
Oh, 100%. That's why we don't use them or recommend them.
But then again, because I've gotten some bad reviews in my life too, and I thought, oh my God, I bent over backwards for that client, but yet they left a bad review. Not even understanding it was their own problems because they didn't have email. They couldn't supply the paperwork. It just caused a bad experience, but we did everything we could. But yet, shouldn't some of those reviews bleed through? And couldn't my response to that be weighed in there that says, well, wait a minute, everybody, you don't understand the shit show we just went through,
Well, that brings up exactly my point as to why we don't like those products, because when you get a 1-star review, that is now your time to shine. Because what will happen is when you get a 1-star review, people will say, oh, give me a call. We'll talk about this. Your business is really important. No, screw that. What you got to do is you got to put the whole narrative on social media and say, this is exactly what happened. And
Can
why
you do that?
Oh, 100%.
Do
Yeah.
people actually read that?
Oh, yes.
Really? Oh, because you guys have got the analytics.
Yes.
That's your lane.
Yeah, because what people do is they actually sort reviews. So a typical consumer, this data is about 2 years old, but it's gotten nothing but better since then. So this is the lowest point. What will happen is 88% of people make buying decisions based off of Google reviews. The typical thing is they'll go to a page, go to the Google business profile, and they'll sort by least to greatest for stars.
Oh, so they start with the bad reviews.
100%.
Oh yeah, you got to read the T.
Yes.
What's the T?
Yeah, that's just the drama.
Yeah.
So and that's when you read the whole, when someone says.
Okay, because I'm guilty. I found myself doing that, but continue, please.
Yeah, so you're in that 88%, as am I, and probably Chris. And what you do is you say, okay, there's a 1-star review, and it's like, Vic blew this whole deal up. It's terrible, yada yada. And then you see Vic respond, and it's like, hey, Mary, I'm really sorry that you had a bad experience. Yep. Let me articulate what I saw from my perspective on this deal.
Out of the 150 things you did, 147 of them wrong.
Yep. And then you just lay out a couple of things, and it's
effective.
Oh, 100%. Because then that builds credibility for you, because it shows people that you're transparent with your operation. Because now you have 4.8 stars, 38 positive reviews, 2 negative, and you handle those 2 negative ones like a champ.
Let me ask you this, because our company uses a thing called experience, and this is post-closing, we send an email, hey, give us a review. And I had a bad review. I got a 0.6 star. And I'm thinking, really? We got you to the closing table. We were making chicken soup out of chicken shit. Is what it boiled down to. I couldn't believe it. We bent over backwards, and I got this horrible review. And so the company says, oh, no, we got a threshold of a 4.0 or whatever they do. We don't let nothing on there. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking, and my assistant, Monica, she goes, oh, don't let that in. Don't let that. I go, no, let it in. It is what it is. I want the people to see who I really am. So I could actually respond to that, and that would actually help.
It depends on the platform. I'm not sure with that, because I know you guys have a mortgage platform that can review, but I'm pretty sure you can reply to reviews on there as well, from what I've seen. Because especially Danielle, when she gets reviews, I see that they come in, and it looks like you can reply. But yeah, like if you're half a star Vic that day, and
that would be my assistant Flo.
But yeah, the best thing to do is to go and reply, because if you don't, then people are going to write their own narrative. Well, why is there 1 star? Now they have questions, and doubt seeps in, and that doubt is enough to make them go to the next mortgage broker.
Okay. Not that I ever counted on social media leads, but what I am finding is that there is a percentage of people that I could actually build my business. So I have to look at that as a pillar, because this social media is pretty serious now. Yeah. It actually is.
Well, it's the way that consumers are doing reviews. Like I had an individual in the studio a couple weeks ago, and I tried looking them up. No Google business profile, no record of their business. There was really nothing in there. And I was like, is this person, in my head, what went through my head was, is this person an actual business owner?
Right.
As if that is now the standard.
Okay, well, because I look on Google and I see, they got a 5-star. There's 1 review.
Yeah.
Right.
One, that's probably them.
Right.
And exactly
their
right.
Mom.
Yeah.
Or their mom.
Yeah.
Hey, we got another one. Am I allowed to cut there?
Yeah, no, for sure. There's no cuts. They're on the counter.
They're going to have a concert in Ethiopia for me if I don't get another beer. I'm getting thirsty in here. It's kind of fun.
Oh, good. I'm glad you're enjoying it. I'm having a hell of a time.
You guys want to talk about commitment?
Yeah.
No, but at some point I'd like to segue into commitment, man. I had to give a presentation yesterday.
Sure.
You know, so, but.
Yeah, no, for sure. We can close up on that for sure.
Oh, thank you, sir.
So when we have, when you have reviews and you have the person that's like, I have a business profile, I have 1 star or 1 review rather, and it's 5 stars. That also lowers the credibility of them because people are thinking just what you said. It was their mom, their wife,
the FBI, their fathers, brothers, and in-laws.
Right? Yeah, the incognito profile that they set up to all their, all the spam emails. So that can do just as much harm. So when we onboard a client, let's get to 10 reviews. Let's get to 15 reviews because then at 15 reviews, Google local service ads can start delivering as well. So there's a lot of credibility built into that, which is why all of those things matter. Responding to negative reviews, making sure you have a multitude of diverse, really good, thorough reviews. And what can help SEO too is the length of the review.
And you guys monitor our reviews.
Yeah, we respond to all those.
Okay.
It's funny now that you say that because I had Julia go through your profile the other day.
And?
No,
okay,
it was
go ahead, man.
It was all good, but she's like, Vic has like 100 reviews, and I'm having a hard time sounding different every time I respond to one. Because you had
they good or are they bad?
Oh, they were all 5 stars.
Well, of course.
Oh, right. Of course.
Well, actually, my mom died. That must be my dad.
Yeah. Well, except for that half a star job that you botched.
Hey, that was my wife. Man. She was pissed off that day.
0.6.
Yeah, 0.6, Vic.
Yeah. Let's not go there.
Yeah, it just gives you personality for how you respond to them.
The way I look at it, I is who I is, man. And, you just do the best you can. Some experiences are great, some are not, but just be honest and upfront. And I'm glad you guys are monitoring that, man, because I don't know what to do with them when I get a review. I just said it's automatic. But my job is just do what I do, and you guys will take the negative juice, if there's negative juice, and not necessarily turn it into a positive, but put it in its perspective.
Right.
And that's what true integrity is, right. I guess. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and how you respond and the way in which you respond, and the fact that you respond at all, and that Google treats that as a positive trigger for your local SEO is really important. So all those things matter. See,
and me as a business owner, those are the tricks that get away. If you're going to make a presence on social media, if you got to get a review, there's a protocol. If you get a bad review, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to do that. And that's why I'm glad you guys are watching that because, I'm out there singing for the band. I'm out there getting new business. I need somebody to take care of all this stuff that I was unaware of. I thought just build a website, man, and
Well, and that's the funny thing is when we get to the close of a website project, it's like Google Analytics.
There can't be a close to a website because it's a living document.
Exactly right. And
you guys are like the mafia. Once you're in, you never leave.
That's our goal,
right?
Well, yeah, but actually. As bad as that may sound, that is actually the way to do better business because you need that person that we're forcing you to look at the technology, keep up with the technology, keep us up with that and grow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because I would get lost without that.
And that's where communication comes in. Like, here's our roadmap, here's our deliverables, hold us accountable.
And that's why the podcast works great because it forces us to get together every week.
Exactly.
Do a podcast, talk a little bit about the project, and then I'm glad we got a meeting scheduled next week to kind of, phase 2 now. Where do we go?
And I'm convinced as we go into 2022, and we're going to do a podcast on this, I think this week or next week, but Facebook basically just blew up the way that podcasts are done because Facebook is now a distribution platform. Okay. So like,
meaning.
So
go ahead. I'm a little lost. No, it's fine. I'm an old guy.
Yeah, I'll walk you through it. So it's brand new for everybody. So basically on Apple, you would have a host, right? That host would say, okay, here is your podcast.
Spotify.
Yep.
Is that a host?
Spotcast is a distribution platform.
Okay.
So a host would be like Sounder FM, Blueberry, Simplecast, basically a place that the podcast gets uploaded to as a source.
Yep.
And then what would happen is you would say, okay, take this RSS feed and put it on Apple, Spotify, Google.
Okay.
Facebook now accepts RSS feeds. So now when you have a podcast and you go to your phone and on that page, it delivers a mobile-only post for that podcast. So like we're launching this with Assist.
Mobile only.
Yep. So it's only viewable on
mobile
on
device.
applications. Yep.
Yep.
So you can't see it on desktop. And then what that turns you into a player. So like you can literally play the podcast, keep scrolling on Facebook, and the podcast becomes a floating icon that's still playing in the background.
It's a window right there that you're still doing your surfing, but yeah, you can listen to the podcast.
And you can even close the app and the podcast is still playing.
And everybody can do that, and that's free.
It's free.
So how do you, as Wayne Media, capitalize on that to get better juice for your clients?
Well, I'm glad you asked.
well, no, really. I am a business owner inquiring. How are you going to take me to the promised land, Rob?
So the biggest thing is taking all of the podcasts that we have on Speakeasy already and putting them on that platform. And then the way that
and you can strategically post them and when and how and whatever you want.
Yeah. So basically the way it works is it's just like Apple. As soon as I tell Sounder to drop the post, it drops on Facebook as well. And then
who's that? Wait,
yep, go ahead.
This is cool.
Yeah.
So where is that podcast? Are you going to
move a little bit closer?
Oh, I'm sorry. Are you going to demographically put that in my audience? Like all realtors and all my consumers who buy a house or get a mortgage?
So it's everyone so you can subscribe to the podcast on Facebook now. And the algorithms are better for Facebook for mobile only. So more people in your audience are seeing it when it drops.
And what's cool about that too is that all of your followers now, like if you have, all of your followers are already now subscribed. If they already follow.
Oh,
so your list is already.
They have to opt out. They're automatically opt in.
Yeah.
Yes.
So they
that's cool.
When they go to your page or if you share it or whatever, it's going to show up right there. You hit audio and
so when does all this go about?
So it started rolling out beta over the summer, and then in October they started doing automated posting, and then we are moving all of our podcasts to Facebook by December 1st.
Okay, so is that going to be like the default places where you're going to put them now?
So it's going to be Apple, Spotify, Google, and Facebook.
Oh, and that'll be auto-deploy. Boom.
Exactly. And the way that we capitalize it on a business is because we are creating Facebook content for podcasts already. And when we have access to that page, it's just another distribution platform that's going to help that audience. And then we're going to roll out Facebook groups for podcasts. Okay. So then that podcast will play well into that business's Facebook group if they choose to cultivate one.
Okay, so now, because I've got my Facebook business page, my personal page, and now we got this podcast thing. If someone subscribes, what are they actually subscribing to? Is there a podcast page? Or
it's the updates of it. So every time a podcast drops, you're like, oh, it's Tuesday at 6 a.m., Vic's podcast is out, and they can play it.
Okay. But does it come in their stream where it's going to pop up every other day or something like that? Or
it'll come up every time that it drops. And then us running content for you, we're constantly reminding them about that podcast. And Facebook is another avenue that they can listen. What were you going to say?
Oh, just that if they've already liked your page, they're already going to see it.
Okay.
So it's, they don't have to go to your, assist.com.
Okay, so this is something I was unaware of. So this is kind of cool. You guys are keeping secrets over here, man.
Well, and that's the thing, because I got people, I had a client reach out and say, hey, I just saw this new thing from Facebook. What are you guys going to do about that? And I was like, I already have a big roadmap that I'm rolling out. I'm glad you asked. Let's talk about it, because this is going to fundamentally change the way that people consume podcasts. Mm-hmm. Spotify right now is working with Anchor, which is a company that they bought. Anchor is, to me, a really budget hosting platform. But you can post videos now in Anchor, and those videos are going to go to Spotify. So all the videos that you have on YouTube for your podcast are eventually going to be uploaded to Facebook, to the RSS feed, and be able to be seen. So all your podcast videos directly to Facebook automatically.
I tell you, because this is getting like almost out of hand. When I was just a mortgage guy, like, hey, man.
He's posting on the bulletin board.
Get a Facebook. Yeah. Where's my sticky notes? But I tell you, this is getting really deep, because I used to have a website, and then it was Facebook, and then it's Instagram, and then it's LinkedIn, and then there's the YouTube channel. And how do we make all that come together? And you guys you've got a platform that just deploy all that, and house it in one place where I can go see it.
Yep.
Yeah. This. Now it's making a lot more sense. Boy, am I glad I gave this out.
Yeah,
I'm glad I don't have to do this.
Well, right, and Facebook is going to be the platform that communities are built around, because love them or hate them, Facebook has done a tremendous job with change. They understand change at a level that no other social media company understands it, which is why they were the first to move to audio that was shareable. They're the first social media platform to directly integrate podcasts into their feeds. They just understand human behavior exceptionally well, and that's why they're going to continue to be a major player.
Okay, counteract to that. My daughter's 23. She just got a real estate license. I go, why don't you put it on Facebook? Because I don't have a Facebook. That's for old people.
Yes, she will in 5 years.
Really? Okay.
Because
what is that objection handler? Because, Facebook is going out. I hear that a lot from these young people. Or is everybody Instagram and all that in this? What the hell do they call that thing? TikTok.
Yeah.
I'm a ticking. I'm a talking. I'm a ticking. Yeah.
See, that's a TikTok right there.
I was going to do that as the ticking, talking mortgage guy, Yeah.
I love it. Well, what's happening on Facebook right now is Facebook is kind of the highlight reel of all the best social media platforms. Okay. They have Reels from Instagram, which mirrors TikTok, short, digestible, phone length videos that you can watch like this without turning sideways. Right. They have audio platforms that are being embedded through RSS feeds from podcast platforms. And eventually all of the videos that you put up of your podcast are going to be able to be seen directly through that feed. So Facebook is going to take the best features of all the platforms, and that's where people are going to be. So it might not be now. TikTok is super popular right now, but there's no community around TikTok.
So, because basically right now I have to, if I want to watch one of our podcasts, I got to go to my YouTube channel. Are you stating that I should be able to look at the entire platform right through Facebook? I could listen to a podcast, I could watch the video, I could do all that.
Exactly right.
So you think Facebook is going to be the mothership of the social?
Yeah, just because of the way they built the app. Because when you look at the app on mobile, and you probably can't see this super well, but let me go to we have a really cool podcast that we just launched called Why the Trades in Louisville, and they kind of focus on all the trade industries and whatnot. But they have this tab that says podcasts.
There's a podcast tab now.
Yeah, and what happens is you can't see this on the mic, and they probably if you punch in on me, Grant. So you have this feed where it's in black and white, and you can't see it on the feed, but we'll put up a screen grab.
Oh, it's there. I just confirmed it's there.
Yeah, but basically, if you want to take a look at that, you can see that you can scroll through the episodes on that platform.
Okay.
And so go ahead and click on one.
Okay. Yep.
And then you see that it's built for video. Like the video player could be built into the top of it, which is what they're trying to move towards.
Waste management with the dumpster diva.
Yep.
Becky Duncan.
Yep.
Wow.
So that's
interesting. So see, this is why us old guys, man. Here, and look at how this has changed in 6 months.
Yeah.
When I came to you guys, 4 months ago? Something like that?
It was August, into the summer, yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's changed so much. There's no way I could keep up. Either I go out and sell mortgages, and build relationships, or I dive into this, which is a never-ending story. You guys, it just keeps growing.
And the biggest thing I know for us, Chris and I talk about this a lot, is you can get lost in all of this.
Absolutely. Oh, I'm lost already.
well, I mean,
it's been 30 minutes and I'm lost.
2 more beers,
okay.
Another bourbon. Yeah. Well, the big thing for us is you need to be choosy about what you're doing, because you can be on TikTok and Pinterest and Twitter and Instagram, and you can try to make it on all those platforms. What you really need to do is have that strategy, kind of what you have with your serial killer board in your office, where you have all the, the twine and everything.
That's the vision board, not the serial killer board, Rob. And those are sticky notes, not knives.
Got it. Well, you're already doing that with your business, where you're putting a roadmap together, and on social media, it's the same thing. But what platforms can we conquer well is the question.
But but the thing is I'm just taking my vision board because that's my passion. I want the beautiful customer experience. You guys are just trying to promote that and say, who's Vic Bals and who's the Highlands team and who's my team, and trying to get that message across to say that we are genuine. That's all I'm trying to do with social media.
Yeah.
Yep. I don't even know if I'm looking for business through social media. I just want the awareness that if and when you're ready, we're the resource to get the information for free, like this whole thing we're talking about. So, and naturally that'll just build the business, because that's who we are. That's what we do.
And for us, people could listen to this and say, well, I can do all those things. And you certainly can. What we sell is time.
No, you can't. I couldn't. I'd have to get up at what time? Now 1:30 in the morning. I'd have to get up.
Yeah, you're going to bed at 7 right before the wheel comes on.
You can't miss the wheel.
Yeah. Now I got to have my wife's boyfriend take her out to dinner because I'm in bed.
Love it. Well, that's a huge thing, though, is, we're saving time.
Oh, absolutely. You got to leverage it, man. And it's worth the money, because what I've done by taking Monica out of her lane. She goes, oh my God, I save 25 hours a week. Monica saves 25 hours a week.
She told us that. That was awesome.
that you guys are taking off her plate. Now I'm bringing her into the mortgage world. She's my closing coordinator, making sure that the closing goes off flawlessly, which is just increases customer satisfaction, which
More value.
it's worth its weight in gold. Yeah.
Yeah, it's huge. It's when you understand how to move those assets around really well, that's when the true ROI comes in, because it's not about, hey, I mean, it's super important to say, hey, I brought you this lead. Here's how much it's worth. Here's your margin. But what else in the business have you been able to do because of that?
Free up time.
And it's all those things together.
All right. It's almost like if I had Monica changing the engine in the car, sure, could she do it? Yeah, it's not rocket science. Just follow this manual. But how long would it take? Wouldn't it be better for us to ship it down the street and they actually send it to somebody who actually rebuilds engines for a living?
Right. And when there's a missing bolt, you have someone who knows what to do in that case, rather than being like, well, this isn't in the manual.
Absolutely. No. So, and what I've learned is you got to learn how to write the check, man. You need something there, write the check, have that professional entity do that. You guys are the social media, right? And then I've got other avenues. Write the check, my CRM system. Write the check, and those elements coming together allows me to keep the vision of how we're gonna do this. So no, I've come to appreciate. I was really what do they call that?
Gun shy.
Yeah, well, I don't know if I was gun shy, but it's like, oh God, another social media guy. I've got these guys, but what attracted me to you guys? You were local. The last people, we're out of California. We're going to whack you for X amount a month, and we're out of California. And we're going to promise you 1 billion leads a month. Mm-hmm. You guys made no promises on leads. You're local, so I know where you live. And so I've really turned a corner, and now I was able to turn that over to you guys, which I appreciate, because now it allowed Monica to come into the lane where I want her to be. Mm-hmm. And now she's actually helping realtors with their Facebook, just building pages, and now she's an advocate for you guys, because we can locally build all our businesses together, and I just love that.
100%, and that's why I wanted my office on Main Street, so that way if someone had a problem, it's transparent. You can walk into my office. I'm fairly accessible.
Or we could walk into the pub next door.
Exactly right. It's even better. So
I remember when I heard, I watched, I think it was like in December or something, there was an article in the newspaper that Speakeasy coming to Brighton, Michigan, and I'm thinking, hey, I was very proud of doing my own video and my own marketing, and I almost thought of, oh God, there's a competition, and I'm 180, man. I've come to respect it. Thank God you're here.
Yeah, it's been a roller coaster of a year.
Yeah. So I hear you're at about 70% capacity now.
We're about 4 shows away from being full.
Full. That's got to be. And you're opening up other branches now too, right? You got. You're in Michigan. Is it Royal Oak? Where
Sterling Heights.
Sterling Heights.
Yep. So that one's getting off the ground. I expect that one to be full-ish by the end of next year.
And you got your Kentucky. That's the mothership, right? Is it Kentucky?
Yep. So Louisville was the first. So that one's going well. And then we're looking at Ann Arbor right now.
Ann Arbor's going to be a good market. Even the Royal Oak market. You got some swinging stuff out there too.
Well, that's nice about Sterling Heights. It's such a population-dense area. Just from a business perspective, it's the second biggest city in Michigan, and it'll go gangbusters out there.
But also the second median income. Livingston County is a top median income.
Really?
Yeah. Oakland County's next. Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So, but very interesting there.
Well, Vic, I know we want to talk about the relationship dynamic and commitment. However, yes.
However,
we are going to have to do a part 2.
Okay, yeah, that's cool, man. Yeah, no, I'm ready for
I would love to do a part 2.
Yes, we are definitely going to schedule a part 2.
Okay. Well, let me give you what do they call segue into part 2?
Yeah. Let's leave the folks on a cliffhanger.
When we talk about commitment, 99% is a bitch, but 100% is really easy. Let's just leave it at that.
I love that.
We'll explain that later.
That's good. I love it. All right, we're in. So, all right, guys.
Okay.
Vic Bals, always a pleasure, my friend.
Yep. Always nice. Hey, you guys have become really friends. Not even business. So
I appreciate that.
only business associates, but yeah, you guys are becoming actually friends. I really like the way you guys roll.
Yeah, I appreciate that,
Yeah, I
man.
appreciate that.
I'm excited for part 2. I know Chris is too.
Yeah.
So,
Chris is a player, man.
Yeah. I'm here, guys.
Hey, you got to practice your parade wave.
Yeah.
we'll just have him photoshopped in the show.
Yeah.
Just pop it in. You remember in Mortal Kombat where the
Slide
character
in.
would pop
Yeah.
in from time to time? All right, cool, guys. Well, that'll wrap up Waynecast. Appreciate you listening. Be on the lookout for part 2 with Vic Bals coming soon. Catch you on the next one. Take care.